Is it possible to heal serious illnesses with spiritual practices such as astral projection? And if so, how does it work, and has anybody done it that can tell us about it? Well, today we're lucky because we get to speak to one of my students who's actually healed a serious chronic disease. Tell us about where you started with your illness.
Well, it actually happened this year, about half a year ago, maybe a little bit more. And it happened suddenly, just one day, out of the moon. Like you, waking up in the morning and couldn't feel your shoulder, like it was displaced. And yeah, the pain started migrating to other joints. And well, after a couple of weeks of research with doctors, with my GP, I found out that, yeah, I got rheumatoid arthritis. Quite a horrible disease, especially, well, you have to accept it, and that acceptance moment, it goes like in a couple of months. Very depressing, because it's like a cancer. It's not really curable, and yeah, I was going through quite horrible chemotherapy, and those drugs made me even worse. They put my body into bed like for a couple of weeks with very high temperature, like 39 and 8, and it was getting even worse. My other organs were shouting alarms, and yeah, and I thought I was actually dying. And
oh shit.
Yeah, it was a really scary situation. And well, all the advice from GP was taking more ibuprofen, and then you will be all right. Call us after a week and we will see what is happening. Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened? How did you solve this?
I was going for different treatments. I was going for doctors to doctor and trying to find out how it's treatable and how can I manage that disease. And I was getting, well, the worst response from everyone. That's, well, it's just started and it can get worse, and it can be very difficult at the beginning. And yeah, as my last resort, as my last try, I was thinking about astral projection, about OBE, and how can I heal myself from that state? Because, well, if we are not just physical body, we are made from a lot of dimensions, and we have energy body. So why not to start healing from inside? From the energies body perspective. And if I can heal myself from the inside, start the healing process, because, well, that disease which I have, it's rheumatoid arthritis, and it says that immune system fights itself. So maybe the process which started from within can be managed and changed from within. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the things that are happening to the physical body usually happens energetically first, and then they manifest physically in the body. And so you're like, oh, instead of fixing the symptoms, like the doctors are saying, you're like, let me go to the root cause and try to fix it that way. And you can do that with astral projection. So you then decide to, like, okay, I'm going to learn how to get out of body. And you had an out-of-body experience in our program, one out-of-body experience, and that one was what healed you.
Yeah, I realized that I am dreaming in my lucid dream. I remembered about rising up, the vibrations, the ones you feel physically. When you are relaxing and you get to that state where you can separate from your body and you start to feel vibrations. Well, in that state, I felt them very real, very physical. And I remembered that I should try to rise those vibrations up so I could be able to heal my body. And well, the idea was how to do that. And from the distance, I saw my daughter running to my hands, and when I catched her with my hands and raised her up, I felt love, joy, and all other warm emotions. And when my body covered with all those warm emotions, I felt like the vibrations which I was feeling in the beginning, they started rising up, they started accelerating, like when someone put your body into the higher gear, and you felt like you are about to launch up like a rocket. Yeah, and when those higher vibrations started, all the surrounding was covered with the white, very shiny white light. I mean, everything disappeared, and I was just in that white light. And in that light, I realized from this moment, I know that everything is gonna be getting all right. Everything is gonna be getting better. I mean, I knew for myself that the healing process started. No, it will take time. Of course, it won't happen in one day, but the body just resets something, and yeah, the next day when I wake up, the temperature started dropping degree by degree every day. And yeah, I was like feeling all right in a couple of days. And after a week, I was able to return to work. I mean, and even my problems with arthritis, which I had like joint inflammations, it became actually under control. I can use all my joints without any problems, and yeah, can go even to the gym, which I wasn't going for like all those half year.
Okay, that's amazing. So you had an out-of-body experience, and you end up in this white place.
Yeah, it was like when Neo was talking to Morpheus in the first Matrix, they were near the heli on those two armchairs, and yeah, it was like a white bliss around them, nothing, just they two. So for me, it was like just my awareness and only just white light, nothing else, like a void of white light.
Wow, this is amazing. So you were practicing to get out of body, and you got into the vibrational state, and in that moment you were thinking, I want to raise the vibrations, I want to like intensify them. And what you did was you started thinking about your daughter in that moment. Right. And I can imagine that you start to feel a lot of love.
True.
Right. So that energy of love was what was amplifying the energy that was in you. And you got like in a very, very high level energy. And you, I guess you felt a lot of love in that state.
True.
Like there's like a state of bliss.
And for me, it was like a proof that love and those kind good emotions are actually the ones which get you into the higher states. So it was a proof for myself how it works actually.
Yeah, like the energy of love is healing. We say that, but this was a literal,
experience. Yeah,
where you experienced how your physical body became healed from the energy of love. But it's true that when you get into that deeper state that you were in, then those energies are much more powerful and much more effective. So you can evoke love in your body, but when you're in that state, you're much deeper than you are when you're in the physical.
Well, I totally agree with you that it's one thing when you do that in meditation, when you meditate, sit up in a chair or whatever, in yoga position, and it's one thing when you do it in your mind, and it's another thing when you're actually out of body, and you're in that state, you actually feel things different. You feel things getting more real. I mean, they are real in that state.
Yeah, because you're not just doing it in your mind, you're becoming that, because you're dissolving the physical reality, and you're completely into that emotion, and it completely consumed you. I can imagine that you start feeling that how the vibrations extended throughout your whole body, and you're kind of bathing in this love, blissful experience, which was probably amazing. White light, like amazing, profound experience.
Yeah, it's very hard to express it in the words, but it is. Yeah. It is, as you said.
Yeah. How long did that last for? That?
Well, it didn't last very long. It was like a couple of minutes, I would say 5, maybe 10 max or something, with the beginning from lucid dream with OBE state. But well, those 10 minutes It was like a big work of 5 weeks, which I was in a program, and actually I felt like, well, wow, it's only 5 weeks, and I got like, well, 4 experience with from lucid dream induced out of body, and actually 2 times. So now today we have the 3rd time when I got out with direct method. So for me, it's actually accelerating. Like from the first direct method, I got out in 5 weeks. Second one was after a week with that one, and yeah, we have a 3rd now, and it's the distance between them, the gap between those experiences are getting thinner, and I like it.
Yeah, you like it because you realize that you actually can control it.
Yeah, and I'm realizing how does it work?
Yeah.
What is the feeling of getting into that theta state? I mean, yeah, there is a gap when you shut down, but you have to catch up with that gap, that sweet spot. And I'm actually touching it a couple of times, and I have a feeling where it is now.
But that's the thing, you follow the program, you went through all the training, and you understand how the practice works more and more. And now as you understand it, on a mental level, on a theoretical level, but then when you're practicing it, you start to understand on a practical level. You start to realize where the different signposts are, and you start to realize when you are in the right state, or if you aren't in the right state, what you need to do to get there, and how to stay there, and then what to do when you get there, how to exit. And you're someone that you've been doing this for a long time in the past. I think you mentioned you've been trying to get out of body in like 20 years.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I started doing my practices when I first read Monroe, and I read it when I was 16. So like more than actually 20 years ago. So
yeah, so then you had a big gap, I guess, where you didn't succeed, and then you went to the Monroe Institute as well and did the Gateway program.
Yeah, I tried to return things like how they were, and I ran through a lot of literature. I read a lot of books. I mean, like 100 of them in 2 years, and then I started participating in programs like Monroe Institute. And in Monroe Institute, well, I was expecting much more from them. I read a lot about how Gateway program works, what people are getting, what they are achieving from that program. But it didn't fulfill all my expectations. You actually don't get that information which you get from you guys. I mean, how you get to the theta state and how you do that with thinking, breathing. I mean, they don't teach breathe technique as you do. And I think you are right that it's the main key.
Yeah, because if you cannot get into the right state, then you cannot get out of body. You just won't be able to reach that door opening so that you can exit. It's the key thing. I think a lot of people focus on like visualizing this and that, and you're just going to end up being in your head a lot, thinking about different things, and just not going to be deep enough to the place where things are going to happen.
From a couple of participants and from people like Jürgen Ziva, I found out about you.
Nice. And so how was your experience with the program that we've created?
Well, first of all, I was a little bit skeptical because when I got to those videos, which I ran quite quickly through all of them, through week 1, week 2, week 3, and yeah, I was eagerly eating all that information, like wow, what will I get, what is hidden there, and what should I expect? And yeah, I couldn't find anything surprising or unexpected or something like wow, it was new. No, it seemed like I know the information because it's all in books, and there are so many books written about that subject. But actually, I started following the footsteps written in the program. Step by step, you're getting things done like it is set in your program, in your videos, like should I relax, how many hours I should spend sleeping and trying to experience, and how to do thinking, breathing, and how should I go through that relaxation state, through those mind states. Yeah, and in the week 5, I would say, yeah, for me it was week 5, then suddenly the door opened and I started getting what I paid for. And yeah, the thing started getting more and more excited.
Wow. So yeah, I can understand that, because it's all about the details, really. There's a lot of details to the practice, and if you just kind of go through it and you don't follow the exact formula, you won't really probably have any results. But if you do follow the formula and you really put in the work, you will succeed, because it's a proven technique there that works and is really powerful. And there's stuff in there that doesn't exist anywhere else, really. And I'm so happy that you had all of these experiences. Do you have any other experience? Yeah?
Yeah, about this program, I don't know how it works out for everybody else, for other people. But for me, actually, what was the most helpful thing is those coaching sessions, actually. When you get the opportunity to ask the most important questions, which actually helps you with your experience, with your own practice.
Yeah.
And well, when you speak to more experienced people like you, who actually gained their experience in years and are able to do it whenever they want by will, I mean, getting the help from professionals and talking to them, it's also very important.
Yeah, I mean, it's really key, because you get stuck on the journey. You get confused, especially when you follow something and it's like something is not working. You're like, okay, what do I do now? And so you need someone to help you, like, okay, what's happening?
And it can be like one word advice, and it does a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what's really unique with our program is that we have very small group coachings. We're just maximum 5 people at the same time, max. And sometimes we're just 3 or 2. And that means you have a whole hour to just go and discuss your issues back and forth. Like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay, I would try this, I try that. Like, there's a lot of troubleshooting that, you don't really get that anywhere else. You don't get that level of guidance with the practice that you need, because you do need to really dissect exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it, and where you might go wrong. Where is it that you might actually do that isn't taking you to the sweet spot, or that doesn't give you the vibrational state, or how can you get there? Like, there's so many steps to it. And so by having that personalized approach, you are able to step by step, slowly get there. And you got there in week 5, where you're like, okay, I get this now. I know how my body works now. I know how to get into that state. That's amazing.
And for me, it took 5 weeks to realize how guys, you are really different from others, from other coaches, from other programs. I mean, I bought programs like from Tom Campbell. I brought programs like from Nicholas Newport, if you know him, and a lot of different programs. And Monroe Institute Gateway is one of them. Well, like one of the most expensive ones, a fancy one.
Very famous, yeah.
Yeah, very famous, and you get a lot of very nice reviews. And actually, I don't think half of those reviews are as real as they should be.
So how has Astral Projection impacted your life now? The fact that you have this knowledge, you know how to have an out-of-body experience, and you know how to get into vibrational state and evoke that blissful experience of love and healing. How does that feel, having that?
Well, it feels like having a superpower, which I never had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels amazing.
Doesn't that feel quite life-changing, having that superpower?
It does feel life-changing. I mean, well, if I am able to improve myself, maybe I could help other people. Well, that's where my thoughts when I got it. But yeah, I'll start with myself step by step. I mean, see how it works. and see
Yeah, I
how
mean,
can I improve that.
exactly. I think you should really study, really try that, try to get into that state again, and do the whole thing again, or over and over. Because I think you'll be able to go past the sort of, you go through the healing phase where you heal and you just get to your base sort of well-being. And if you keep doing that practice, I think you will surpass your normal well-being, and you can reach a state where you just feel amazing, like all the time, like bliss, love, like really essentially raising your whole vibration.
I mean, keeping yourself in that state for all day. Is that what you mean? Or
I don't mean doing that all day. I'm just mean like, since it was such a powerful healing experience that you had, which was just for a few seconds that experience took place.
right.
If you were to have maybe, let's say, once a week or so, instead of going out of body, instead of traveling away from your body and going on an adventure and other things like that, you could actually use some of the practices just to get into that state and do what you did to raise your vibration, feel love, to heal and reach a different level of well-being within yourself, sometimes throughout the week. Just like keep raising your vibration higher and higher and become better, feeling better and better, become more of a powerful person and just feeling better in your skin.
Right. Now I get it. Yeah, you can actually invoke that feeling and that experience. Yeah, you can make it like once a day or a couple of times a week and actually help yourself. Yeah, true.
Yeah. And it doesn't like that. That's not necessarily an out-of-body experience. That's an in-body experience, but it can only be achieved when you get into the state, which is a similar state that you will get into when you get out of body. It's the same state. I think some people call it theta healing. I'm not sure what the terminology is, but it's a healing state that you have now access to whenever you want. So that's super powerful. So sometimes you can decide to heal, or sometimes you can decide to go somewhere else, go on an adventure, go out of body and explore. So I look at you now as a superhero, which has superpowers that you can use at will. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does feel awesome.
Wow, that was truly inspirational, wasn't it? And you might be thinking, how can you have similar results to our student here? And although we cannot guarantee anyone's going to have profound healing experiences like he did, we do have an amazing program, as you've just heard. And the question is, are you able to astral project? Do you have the ability to do so? Does everybody have the ability to astral project? And I would say most people have the ability to astral project, but not everybody. And so below this video, I've included a astral projection ability test, which would essentially check where you are at and if you are able to actually have these experiences right now. So make sure to check it out. It takes about 30 seconds to just complete the test, and you'll find out where you are at on the scale. Good luck.